It's week 6. You want tight end rankings? We've got you covered. We're going to walk you through our ranks, our tiers right now. Kicking off with the S tier, we've got a beefed up version this week, Tom. Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, and Trey McBride all got slight flaws, but when they've been on the field, they've been producing. You confident in all three of these this week?
Yeah, well, Tucker Kraft absolutely gets to play against the Bengals, which is just an absolute cupcake. They've given up the most points to tight ends of opposing teams where defense can't stop anybody. Going on the road to Green Bay feels just like a recipe for disaster for the Bengals. Jake Ferguson, I mean, like the volume is just insane right now for Ferguson. And look, when you talk about the tight end position, volume can be massive. Ferguson has 41 receptions so far this season. The next closest is Trey McBride at 29. Like, that's just a huge difference. And Ferguson's finished as a top 5 tight end in PPR scoring in each of the last 4 weeks, playing against the Carolina Panthers, who've allowed the second most fantasy points. Like, it's just ridiculous. Trey McBride doesn't score touchdowns, but sees ridiculous volume. Occasionally there's going to be slight dud weeks, but like the role is just too good to ever turn down. And against the Colts, like, they're a good defense, but they're not that good that we should be worried about Trey McBride.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you got these three, you're starting them. Let's not complicate it. Moving into the A tier, Tyler Warren, Hunter Henry, and Sam LaPorta. Tom, Sam LaPorta was a player you were super high on in the offseason, had a little bit of a slow start, but feels like he's rounding into form. Are you feeling confident about him in a reasonably tough matchup this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of mentioned this already, but like when you play the Bengals, everybody's going to go off. Sam LaPorta went off. So, like, it becomes, what is the truth of Sam LaPorta? Is it that he's really kind of rounding back into what we saw a while ago down the backstretch of last year and in his rookie year? Or is it more in the middle and that this offense is just going to run through Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam LaPorta and JMO are going to be left behind at times? I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that this matchup against the Chiefs has nuclear potential. I do worry that maybe it ends up being a bit more defensive than possibly 50 points, which it's projected for. But Sam LaPorta, the way they still use him gives me enough faith that even if he's not a top 3, top 4 tight end on the week, it's very rare where I'd consider looking for a streamer to replace him.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move into our next tier, hit that subscribe button. You will enjoy these weekly ranking shows, plus Dynasty buy sales, waivers, and everything you need to be bringing home your championships this year. In the B tier, Tom, this for me is where it now starts to feel disgusting at tight end. I feel like there's 6 guys I like, and now I'm having to hold my nose. We've got Dalton Kincaid, Travis Kelce, and Darren Waller. Let's start with Dalton Kincaid. I feel like I bang the drum every week that look, he's not playing enough snaps to be fantasy relevant, and yet he keeps catching a touchdown, keeps seeing ridiculous targets for route run numbers, and he's producing. Do you think that he can continue to be this efficient and run this pure despite the fact that he's playing 40, 50% of snaps each week?
I don't think he can be this week, and that's because the Falcons defense, look, if you've watched any of our other rankings videos this week, you'll have heard me talk about how good the Falcons defense is. They've allowed the fewest tight end fantasy points so far this season. They grade out well in pass defense EPA, and I just don't think that this is a week where I'd be looking to play Dalton Kincaid unless I have no other choice. And let's be real, you should have another choice if Dalton Kincaid's been your tight end. Yes, he's got there on touchdowns, but you probably haven't had that much confidence in him. And Atlanta, they lead the league in single high safety looks. Josh Allen ranks 14th in QBR against them, 12th in completion rate, 20th in average depth of target. So even if Dalton Kincaid is out there and getting passes, they're not the downfield shots where we really want him to be running up the seam and getting into the end zone. So, yeah, I'm definitely a little bit just cautious about Dalton Kincaid this week, but it does get to this point in tight end rankings and you suddenly start looking at a lot of ugly options.
Yeah, and then around that tier, obviously, we've got Darren Waller. Saw his snaps double from week 4 to week 5. Started off hot in that first half, phenomenal production, but then drifted away in the second half where he was off the field more than he was on it. Do you think that we're going to see an increase in snap share and potentially him to keep up this level of efficiency? Or are you slightly concerned that we could face against a very tough defense a little bit reduction in production?
Yeah, I like the Chargers defense, definitely a tough option. I mean, perhaps Miami being at home helps them a little bit. This is an early kickoff, so like you're looking at, is this going to be one of those games where Miami are quite comfortable sat in the shadows and the Chargers are just melting in the sun, having gone across country? Like teams who go across country and play those 1 p.m. kickoffs typically don't tend to fare that well. But I do think that the way Miami's been using Darren Waller, like it's really encouraging the way they're forcing the ball to him, the way they're being creative with it. And as you mentioned, he saw enough of a jump up in snaps last week that we can be encouraged that it could be real. The wide receivers, nobody stepped up behind Jalen Waddle. Like Jalen Waddle ran a route on 34 of Tua's dropbacks. Westbrook Akine ran 29, but had 0 targets. Malik Washington, 25, but was still just being used as a gadget play near the line of scrimmage. And then there's just nothing else really of note. So Darren Waller can absolutely make a role for himself, but you will be looking for touchdowns, definitely.
Yeah, it does feel like we've entered the touchdown or bust point of the Titan rankings. In the C tier, we've got Dallas Goedert, Carl Pitts, David Njoku, and Mason Taylor. You talked about Mason Taylor in your waivers video. I talked about Mason Taylor in Dynasty buys and sells. It feels like he has emerged as the number 2 option already in New York. Are you at the point where you're comfortable starting him in a 12-team, one tight end league?
Well, the past 3 weeks, this is per Fantasy Points data, he's at a 21% first read target share, which is 5th best among tight ends, 22.9% target share, 3rd best among tight ends, 0.25 targets per route run, 5th best, 50 yards per game, which is 8th best. Like, he is the second option. And because of the garbage time that you're getting from Justin Fields, they are having to force it. They are having to pass heavy. And you look at just the raw number of targets that he's seen over the last few weeks. I think it's 27 targets over the last 3 weeks. Like, that's really positive numbers for a tight end. Now, obviously, the Broncos are a very good defense. They rank bottom 8 in fantasy points allowed to the tight end position. Their pass defense EPA allowed is 4th best. So, like, is Justin Fields going to really be able to get it going? I don't know. But yeah, I'm comfortable starting Mason Taylor unless I've got a really good option ahead of him.
Are you sitting there scratching your head with a start sit question? Get them in the comments below. Tom and I will answer it all the way up to kick off on Sunday. Or anything better, if you want 24/7 access to myself, Tom, and Tyler, you can hit the join button down below. Become a member of the Sanctuary, join the Discord, and you can pick our brains whenever you want. In the D tier, he's all alone. Zach Ertz, tough week last week, but it does feel like he's kind of the best of the rest. Do you feel like he could see a bounce back week this week?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has to, because last week, and well, this per friend of the channel, Heath Cummings, Sunday was Zach Ertz's first game without a catch since November 27th, 2014. Like, that's just absolutely mind-blowing stat for Zach Ertz. So, yeah, the only way is up for Ertz. The Bears defense are not a defense that we need to be worried about. Like, they've given up tons of points this offseason. And at home in Washington, I think that he's going to be just fine. Like, look, Deebo Samuel isn't going to see a 48% target share every week. The ball will be spread around a little bit more. And if Jaden Daniels is a little bit healthier, that can only be a good thing.
And then in the E tier, we have got Harold Fanning, Theo Johnson, Jawan Johnson, Evan Ingram, Jake Tongs, Mark Andrews, AJ Barner. Anyone you want to touch on of that group, Thomas?
I mean, well, let's say Jawan Johnson. The production has definitely disappeared slightly. Things started so hot for him, and it's definitely tailed off a bit. He still had an 85% route participation rate. He started the season with target shares of 26%, 26%, and then he's been at 19%, 12%, and 13% over the last couple of games. So it's hit the point where starting to hear a lot of questions. Is Juwan Johnson droppable? Maybe. This week he plays the Patriots, who've allowed the 7th most fantasy points to the tight end position. So I think that I'm still okay streaming him this week if you need bye week cover or if you're in a desperate situation. I've got a bit more confidence about him than perhaps this ranking suggests.
And if you're looking for our other rankings videos, make sure you check out these other position rankings we've published this week on your way out. And of course, hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and that hype button.